All right. Hi, everybody. There are three tools that can probably make you a better birder. First of all, being your binoculars, a nature journal, and then a sort of newer tool, and if for me, is the Merlin Birding app by Cornell Lab of Ornithology. And right now, I'm going to show you how you can use both of them. So the thing is that a lot of times when you're using this, you might not want to bring your phone or the app with you while you're birding and nature journaling. But what you might want to do is come back and add some of the stuff that you saw in your nature journal to the Merlin app, because the Merlin app is a great place to get identifications. And if you like being a little bit competitive in your birding and having a list and keeping a track of a list of all the birds you've seen, then the Merlin app is great for that. So this is just going to be a tactical video describing how to combine these two tools. I think they're both really useful. I'm just learning how to use Merlin, and I'm going back and adding some stuff that I saw earlier in this trip while I was in the cloud forest. I'm going to say hi to the people that are watching this live and hi to everybody who's watching it at home. If the sound's not great, it's because I'm in a small room that I'm renting in the upper Amazon, the Amazonian side of Ecuador. Hi, Susan. Hi, Ivea. Hi, Debbie, James, and Susan. Thank you all for joining in. So let's just dive right into this. It's really hot here, by the way. So here are some pages from earlier in my trip when I did not have the Merlin birding app, and I also did not have internet. So here you can see that I've tried to capture a lot of information about the birds, and this can actually be used in the app retroactively. So you can go back into the Merlin birding app and change the date and add stuff that you saw earlier. So if you, for example, didn't have internet, or you just get the app and you want to add stuff that you've recorded in your nature journals, you can go back and add that stuff. So that's really cool. And that proves that, that record keeping aspect of a nature journal is actually useful in this case. And that's what I'm going to do. Originally, I was going to try to go through and do all of those birds you see right there with you watching, but I quickly realized that it would be really hard for me to do that on my phone and show it to you. Hi, Kate. Oh, that's awesome. Kate Rutter's here as well. So here is what has been happening to me is this is inside the app. This is what it looks like on my phone when I am in a location that, for example, doesn't have enough internet. So that is one potential thing that can happen. And luckily, the nature journal doesn't require internet or batteries to work. So that is one huge advantage of nature journaling. But you can combine these two. And what I was going to, like I said, I was going to originally try to do all of these birds right here on the live show tonight with you, but it just would be really boring for you to look at the phone. So I created these slides. This is what it's going to look like when you first open up the app. I definitely recommend getting this app and downloading it. I can't go into all the details about how to do that right now. Hopefully, some of you already have this app, maybe haven't experimented with it yet. Maybe you can get it before like the Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference. If you're a birder coming to nature journaling, you've probably already gotten it. So the first thing you can see here is you can click on the Start Bird ID. And when you click on Start Bird ID, the first thing you're going to see is where did you see the bird? So you can see here I have a list of recent locations that I've used. And what happens here is you realize that the metadata on your nature journal page is super important. So right here, you can see a map of the sort of Andes and both sides of the Andes. Right there in the middle, it's Volcan Cotopaxi is a huge volcano, 19,000 feet. And then to the west of that is sort of cloud forest descending down into coastal forest. And then to the right of that is cloud forest descending down into the Amazon. If you see over on the right of the map where it says Tena, that's about where I am, where that little green dot is. But if I want to go back and add things that I saw, birds that I saw earlier, and I'm not in that place anymore, then I have to know pretty well on the map where I saw that bird. So this is something I'm going to right now with you go through and add this bird right here. Don't do a Google image search for this bird, by the way, to add watercolor details to your nature journal page afterwards. unless you're doing it by the scientific name. But this bird right here is one of the most sought after birds. I'm going to make the screen a little bigger here momentarily. This is one of the most sought after birds by birders that come to this area in Ecuador. Actually, it was on the other side of the Andes, but this bird right here is amazing. And they do these displays in a lek, which means there's a whole bunch of males competing in a lek, doing a bunch of dancing, and they could spend 80 to 90% of their life dancing and competing in this lek with other males, and maybe only 30% of them will ever mate with a female. So really cool species, really fun. And you can see my metadata up here, but my metadata does include the altitude, but I did not include any GPS coordinates, which you can actually get on your phone. Even if your phone doesn't have internet, this app right here should work even if you don't have internet. And if you put this information into your metadata, elevation is really interesting. I never used to add all this kind of sciencey stuff into my metadata. You know, I'm coming to it more from the artistic side, I think, in some ways. But if you add this, then later, when you are trying to find where the bird was on the map, for example, you could do it. This would also work if you're using iNaturalist. So if you have drawings and notes about certain plant species in your nature journal, you could add iNaturalist afterwards, even though iNaturalist usually requires you to upload a photo. So luckily I was able to find the location in this complex scenery here of the Andes. I was able to find the correct location on the map. You are able to zoom in and zoom out and try to compare it with like a Google Maps image could be a useful way. Yes, your phone compass should include elevation. Elevation is my new favorite thing to add to my metadata, especially because where I've been for the last month and a half, it's super important. And because I'm right at this transition zone between the Amazon and the Andes. So the elevation has a big effect on where some of these bird ranges, where some of these birds exist. So the next thing that you're going to do is, and this is also where your metadata comes in, is you need to have a date. So if you don't put the date down in your metadata, then you're not going to be able to do this part, after the fact, post hoc in the Merlin app. So up here at the top corner, you can see my metadata. I just showed it to you on my page. The next thing in the Merlin birding app you're going to have to choose is the size of the bird. So I chose crow's size, and this also made me realize this is teaching me a lot about my nature journaling pages. So for example, I have nothing on here showing how big the bird is. I have nothing on here showing how big the birds are. I don't think I have it written in any of my notes, but that would have been really good. And all I would need to do is say something like they use here is compare it to another bird. So is it crow sized? Or you could do something like imagine, is that like 1.5 feet? So that's what you're going to have to choose next. And then you click to the next one and it asks you, what were the main colors? I find this part a little bit annoying as someone who's obsessed with colors. It feels overly simplistic. But so for this bird, I looked at my drawing and remembered from my memory, and I chose black, orange, and white. And then I go to the next and then ask me, where was the bird? And you have these options here. Woo, it's getting so hot. I'm going to open up the door here. It's very hot. And I turned off the fan so there wouldn't be background noise. Maybe with the door open, that will help. And a little bit of beer, perhaps. So where did you see the bird? This narrows it down for the app. And then I got this list right here. So after you click whether you saw the bird in a tree, at a feeder, flying, on the ground, then you get a bunch of options. So I got laughing falcon, collared aracari, choco toucan, powerful woodpecker, what a great name, mottled owl, black and white owl, Guayaquil woodpecker, and I didn't see my bird. So what the heck is happening? Luckily, you can go, so I went back and I looked at my drawings, and you can notice here that I actually did make some notes that what I thought was white feathers ended up actually being gray feathers. But in the low light conditions, color is relative. This is one of the things that you learn when you study color, is that color is always relative. And this looked 100% white when I was looking at it at 6 in the morning in this like dark forested area through my binoculars. But later glimpses and from photos, I've seen that their feathers are actually gray. So I went back, I changed that. And then I got my list here, and look who's at the very top. Rupicola peruvianus. I'm not going to pronounce the common name in English because that's probably going to make YouTube demonetize this video right now. So anyways, it got here. This is such a crazy bird. Definitely do a Wikipedia search for it, but don't do a Google image search unless if your safety settings are on moderate. You won't even get any results because you can guess why. So this is a fascinating bird. The males all congregate together to advertise their dancing skills and practice. A lot of times there aren't even any females there, but they spend most of their life in these leks. It's very interesting. The sounds are crazy. That's one of the other cool things about the Merlin app that I'll just show you briefly is you can explore birds and you will get a list of birds likely to be in your area. So right here at the bottom, you can click explore birds and you'll get this list of birds likely to be in your area. And then it also shows you the time of year it's likely to be in your area. But since I'm on the equator, and there aren't even very many North American migrants coming through here, you can see that they're all the same. There's rock pigeons here. And then when you get into here, you can listen to, you can see a map. So right there, you open that up and you can see a map. Look at how narrow that range is. So this shows you how special of a place I am in South America. There's a lot of species that just have these narrow ranges in this particular area. And then you can go to sounds. The sounds are in the middle right there. And this is a way that you can double check to see if your bird is right. If you have the correct bird and if you've heard it. So I'm going to look up the one that I'm doing right now. Here it is. And let's listen to some of the sounds real quick. All right, so that's the sound. And then another thing that a lot of birders in the Amazon do is they do a thing called playback, which they use the word from English. But you can use these sounds sometimes if you're not sure about a bird and you see it like in a tree, you can play its call or play its song and see if it reacts. If it reacts, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the same bird, but if it reacts by producing the exact same sound, then you know it's the same bird. Don't overuse that feature because there are some studies about how that can be a negative impact on bird health. So I got to here, I confirmed that this is my bird. And then when you click to the next slide, these like fireworks shoot off and it says new life bird. So this app is definitely tapping into that dopamine hit that you get when you collect. So lots of humans like to collect. It's probably part of human nature to collect. And a lot of the, I think one of the main things that makes birding so attractive and why birding has so many people that do it is because of the that dopamine you get when you collect. So if you're making a list and you're checking it off, trying to get new birds, it makes it into a game. It makes it fun. And this app is set up to do that. Obviously, if you're already a nature journaler, you're not going to be in as much risk of sort of just superficially looking to check those boxes and not paying attention to the birds that you've seen before. So I'm not worried about that with nature journalers. So I recommend the app. If you can combine it with nature journaling, that would be great. And let's see, I think that's the last slide. So that shows you how to combine the two. I think that my main goal right now is to get more birders, especially like in Ecuador, hooked on nature journaling. And hopefully we can get more birders in the US hooked on nature journaling. But already a lot of nature journalers came from birding. So if you already are doing those two things, this will show you how to combine the app with nature journaling. I'm gonna check out the chat here because I haven't been paying that much attention to it. Looks like some interesting interesting suggestions. Kate is mentioning that you can modify the settings for the compass, which I would like to change mine to meters instead of feet. Great stuff from Ivea here. Here is, oh yeah, that's why I actually didn't, I had to do that too, because I originally had all of the location services turned off for Compass. So that is a good tip, Kate. If your iPhone Compass isn't showing elevation, then definitely check out that tip. Susan, always with the great observations and questions. Very glad that, oh, Terry is here too, and is downloading the app. Very glad that Susan found the elevation useful. Yeah, this trip is the first time I started using elevation as well. All right, everybody. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. I wanted this to be a very focused theme for the video. I have another video coming out on Sunday and a bunch more exciting videos. I'm trying to put out YouTube shorts as well. So check those out. They're fun to watch on your phone and they're really short little videos. Mainly I'm trying to reach a bigger audience with those. But if you like short little videos, you might want to check those when they first come up. And thank you so much to all of my Patreons. Several Patreon members have stepped up and started to contribute a larger amount, which is super awesome and is really helping me out right now because I'm doing all of these projects teaching nature journaling. I just got back from teaching nature journaling at a scientific field station in one of the most biodiverse places in the entire world. Also taught nature journaling at a birding festival for Ecuadorian birders the weekend before that. And the day after tomorrow, I'm giving a presentation about nature journaling at a local community center in the town of Tana. So lots of really cool stuff. And I am working on the YouTube's production as well. You've probably noticed. But none of that stuff is really making that much money. So for example, I think from YouTube, I make about $15. I'll make about $15 from YouTube this month. So anyways, just wanted to let you know. Hi, Susan. I try to put the time zone in, but it's rather complicated, especially now I am in Ecuador and the time zone, sometimes in the post, it changes it automatically, but it usually should show you, it should show you the time zone that you are in on there. All right, everybody, thanks for joining in, and thanks especially to all my Patreon supporters. You're the best. Bye.